Alrighty, so it's been a while since we have done one of these, but today we're gonna do a news of the week episode, and I'm doing this before I do the review of the CONCACAF Champions Cup second leg quarterfinal game involving MLS team because there is some major news that happened today, and I'll talk about that last in this video because when I wrote the board yesterday, I wasn't expecting this news to break today, so that's why I added there in last instead of first. But the first big news that we want to talk about involved the Vancouver Whitecaps. So a little spoiler alert, of course, Vancouver did something incredible last night and is going to go down as one of the most memorable moment we've seen an MLS team against a Liga MX team down in Mexico. But now there's even better news that it seems like their CEO saying that they are proposing a new stadium to keep the team in Vancouver. So obviously, despite the fact that Vancouver has had an incredible start to this season, and the fact that they're polling of one of the unlikeliest run of an MLS team in the CONCACAF Champions Cup as we ever seen, there's still a lot of uncertainty when it comes to the ownership with this team. The current ownership seems like they're still on the precipice of selling the team, and there's always been a lot of talk of whether or not if the Whitecaps are going to be staying in Vancouver. Now, obviously, with this news, this is definitely good news. The fact that with the CEOs saying that they are going to potentially build themselves a new soccer stadium usually means that the team is most likely going to be staying in Vancouver. And I think it's good the fact that the Whitecaps are looking to build themselves a soccer specific stadium because we all know that BC Place is not really a soccer specific stadium. They basically share it with the Canadian uh, football team, and they don't really have a lot of leverage in terms of that building as well. So for them to build themselves a new stadium and look for a new area to do so will definitely help the team. But again, what this mean most importantly is that it seems like this team is going to be staying in Vancouver, and whoever the new ownership is going to be, they're definitely going to have a lot of say in terms of this new stadium as well, especially maybe funding this stadium outright, as we've seen pretty much with a lot of MLS team lately that they have pretty much privately funded the stadium instead of using taxpayer money. But yeah, we'll see whether or not if there's going to be more news in terms of that, and if there is going to be more news, most likely that we might get an answer that they will get themselves a new ownership group and that we won't have to worry about the situation that could be a problem that we saw a couple of years ago with the crew almost moved to Austin, or even in the case of the early days of MLS, we had that unfortunate situation with the Quakes moving to Houston back in the mid 2000s. Now, moving on, we're going to talk about Inter Miami. So they apparently have Kevin De Bruyne discovery, right? And they are actually looking to try to sign him this summer. Now, in order to do so, it's going to be complicated because we know this team is already max on DP signing, and I know that fans are not going to be very happy if they find a way to find a loophole in terms of trying to buy down one of the designated player in order to get Kevin De Bruyne. Now, for some people that might thinking, why in the world would Inter Miami looking to get Kevin De Bruyne when they already have Messi? Well, most likely, as I mentioned before, this might be the final season for Messi and friends. If not, maybe next year as well, especially with them opening up that stadium at Freedom Park. But this feels like it's just kind of a replacement, and it's a good replacement too. I mean, I know obviously the goal is definitely going to leave a mark in terms of the impact that this team has had, but bringing Kevin De Bruyne replacement and going from the greatest player of all time to one of the greatest number 10 we have ever seen in the world. I mean, that's not really a bad downgrade in terms of it. Now, what's also kind of interesting is that because Inter Miami have his discovery rights, and of course we all know about the discovery right shenanigans and how it's kind of a very dumb rule in MLS that is still exists. If there's any team that is looking to try to sign Kevin De Bruyne, especially if San Diego is still looking to try to sign him, which I have heard reports saying that it seems like that's now more unlikely than what we've seen before, then they're gonna have to pay up in terms of some general allocation money for the discovery rights because of it. But yeah, overall, this should be very interesting, and it's also going to be interesting to see whether or not if Kevin De Bruyne indeed is going to come to MLS. I think there could be a chance to do so, especially there's already a lot of reports saying that he is leaving Man City this off season, and in the summer we'll definitely get a clear picture of where he's exactly going to sign. I'm really surprised NYCFC is not heavily looking to try to sign him. Consider, Man City and NYCFC, they're both part of the City Football Group. It just kind of makes sense the fact that he would actually go there. Consider they're or the same city football group, similar to what we saw when they came into the league. Where remember when Frank Lampard went to Man City and eventually went to NYCFC because of the being part in the same ownership group. Again, I thought this probably would be the same thing as well, but it just doesn't seem like that could be the case. There's not a lot of rumors saying that NYCFC is looking to sign a marquee player like Kevin De Bruyne. Now, the Columbus Crew, they are reported that they're going to complete a blockbuster move to acquire Union number 10 Daniel Gastag. Now, this, of course, is according to Tom Bogert, and I'm fascinated to see whether or not if Columbus is going to do something that we've seen other teams have done before, and that, of course, is the cash player trade. That new rule where you basically trade a player in exchange for cash, that is something that has been a huge game changer when it comes to this league. Now we start to see. I mean, we no longer see in terms of those huge amount of GAM that is being exchanged within the league, but that definitely we have seen for once teams are being a little bit more flexible. Where if you're going to get a player, especially an interleague kind of trade, you can use that money that you have to fund it and complete this blockbuster move without even have to worry about spending too much general allocation money. And again, we've seen it recently with Jovic going to Sporting KC in exchange for cash, and then we saw with the Dynamo exchanging for cash to the Union to get Jack McGlynn. But yeah, overall, this is definitely going to be a big move for the Crew. We know Daniel Gasak, one of the more underrated number 10 in the league, and one that I'm kind of surprised the Union are looking to move on from him. I understand that the Union are going for a bit of a rebuild. I said it last season as well. That feels like they're going for a bit of a rebuild. But with the way that they've been performing so well in the beginning of the season, this is kind of a big head scratcher. You got to say about the Union of what they're doing, especially of how big of a player that Daniel Gastag is. Like he's part of that front free monster that is him, Uru, and also Uribe that really drives this Union team early this season. But yeah, there's no doubt that we'll see whether or not if this move is going to complete, and there's no doubt that if it is going to be complete, that is a huge signing for the Columbus Crew, especially replace Couto Hernandez. I mean, it won't be a direct one-to-one Couto Hernandez replacement, but will be a guy that will at least be another weapon in terms of goal scoring and playmaking, which is something that this Crew team has been kind of lacking in the beginning of this season. Now, speaking of number nines, RSL looks like they are looking to finally got their number nine in Slovakian international Robert Basnik as a DP9. Now, apparently he came from Bovista, and yeah, let's just say that there's been a very interesting saga between MLS and Bovista in the past couple of years. But one thing that I will say this signing, and at least from what I heard from RSL fans, it feels like it's a very underwhelming signing, especially the numbers that he produced with Bovista. Definitely not kind of anywhere near the DP kind of level that you expect him to do. But who knows? Maybe he come to this league and he turns out to do well. I mean, RSO is hoping that is the case because we know that this team desperately need a nine after moving on from Ticho Arango this off season, and getting a DP9 right is very important. If they don't get it right, and really, when you look at the last couple of signings that RSL have made, they haven't really done a good job in terms of making some of those last couple of signings. Some of those signings have started kind of turn to a bit of a bust rather than a success. So they're hoping that this, of course, will hit. Although judging by the numbers that he produced, it's definitely not anywhere near a DP9, and just kind of feel very underwhelming kind of signing if they are going to get him before the primary transfer window closes. Now, the Houston Dynamo, they're also looking to sign another player. They're actually looking to sign former LA Galaxy goalkeeper Jonathan Bond. Now, this is kind of interesting because I thought that, Blake Gillingham doing his short time with the Dynamo, he has done a really good job to a point where I thought he should just get the starting role outright, even if Jimmy Maurer or Andrew Tarbell being back in this team. But it seems like they're looking to try to get a more experienced goalkeeper. Jonathan Bond is definitely one of them. He was very up and down during his time with the Galaxy. He has some great games with the Galaxy, but he also had some really bad games for the Galaxy as well, and conceded a lot of goals with the Galaxy. But part of that maybe is due to the fact that the Galaxy was one of the worst defensive team last season. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting move, and we'll see whether or not, if this move, of course, would be completed, and whether or not if this is the right move for the Dynamo to solve their goalkeeping problem that they have. Now, before I move on into the next news, let me just plug my computer here because my computer um, is about to run out of battery. But yeah, moving on in the next news. So there are some good news for Nashville fans as Walker Zimmerman has released from hospital after suffering that scary head collision with Kirby Vargas against Charlotte. So if you haven't seen it, basically it was just an unfortunate situation where Kervin Vargas tried to go for a bicycle kick, and instead of connecting the ball, it connected it into Zimmerman head as Zimmerman was trying to clear that ball away, and it's just kind of a freak accident, and it's great news to see that Walker Zimmerman is okay. Now I'm not quite sure how long he's going to be out this season after suffering that injury, but considering the impact we saw during the game and how scary it was, I mean, it's definitely great news to see that he was released from hospital, and that seems like it's gonna take a while for him to come back, but definitely not as serious as it was considering what we just saw. And again, very unfortunate in terms of seeing that. And then moving on in the next news, so Cleveland is actually looking to trying to launch a new MLS Next Pro team. So again, it feels like nowadays with MLS Next Pro, we're not only talking about a league that is used as a development league for MLS team, but it seems like now they're kind of almost like a direct rival for the USL. And why not? Because I already talked about, there seems like there's a war between MLS and USL, especially with the way the USL announced they're going to launch a new first tier league that is going to be pending approval from the U.S. Soccer Federation, but also the promotion and relegation thing. I mean that's something that is going to add even more competition and add more fuel to that rivalry between MLS and USL. That maybe it could be merged down the line. But in terms of this, again, it seems like MLS Next Pro is really adding more teams into it. That some of these teams, obviously, they're not going to be more like development team. They're going to be more just teams that is going to kind of have like a USL kind of types of squad, which is kind of interesting because if you want to do that, why not just join the USL in the first place and not join the MLS Next Pro, which I still think it's more of a development league, and it's not started turning like what we see with the USL Championship becoming kind of like a second, or even the USL League One. I'll use that as an example because they both belong in the third tier as well. Now, FIFA, they have actually announced that they're launching effort to sell World Cup or Club World Cup tickets with guaranteed access to 2026 World Cup tickets as well. Now, obviously, we know that there is definitely a struggle right now when it comes to FIFA trying to sell these Club World Cup tickets, and it's not a big surprise it's a struggle because when they marked the tickets prices a couple of months back, it was incredibly expensive. And the fact that when you look on the website and you still cannot buy tickets in the 100 level, like I don't know why exactly FIFA are not releasing tickets into the 100 level, pretty much like category 1 level kind of tickets. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're not actually sold out. They're just probably there for the ticket. And I think if you go on any other third party website besides Ticketmaster, the one that is selling these tickets, you probably would get those 100 level tickets, those category 1 tickets, but it's going to be an incredible inflated price compared to the regular price that is. But the bottom line is, I think FIFA, they're getting desperate in terms of really want people to buy into this competition to a point where yeah, they're even saying that they're going to guarantee fans that they can have access to the 2026 World Cup. And when they say guarantee access, they actually put it into quotation mark as well. And knowing FIFA, yeah, that's not usually a good thing when you decide to put something in quotation mark, especially when you mean guaranteed. Do you mean a guarantee like every single match or just certain match that is? I have a feeling it's probably just going to be certain match that is, but it's just almost like a desperate attempt for FIFA to really trying to sell the tickets. And I've said it long before, the Club World Cup. I think these tickets would definitely be sell if FIFA didn't just completely jack up the prices for these games. And this is also kind of what I'm worried about the 2026 World Cup, where the tickets are going to be not only expensive, but it's going to be at a level at an all-time high. And I know there's always that saying that, well, in the U.S. you can do that because people still buy those tickets, and they're going to go to those games. Well, yeah, you can do that, but it gets to a point where you got to know your consumer, and the fact that if the demand, even though it's there, and if it gets to a point where it's so expensive that the demand is not there, is it really worth it to jack up those prices? Because yeah, we're seeing it right now with the Club World Cup, where I know the demand for the Club World Cup could be huge, even though there's a lot of question when it comes to this competition and a lot of controversy surround this competition as we speak. But there's no doubt that I think games would be sold out, and tickets will sell much better if they didn't just completely jacked up the prices. Like, some of the prices for these games are just absolutely ridiculous. Like, it's not worth the amount to attend these games, no matter how much you look at it and how marquee the matchup could be for some of these World Cup tickets. So the bottom line is that I do think that for FIFA, instead of this desperate attempt to do so, how about just lower those prices, or and just market this even better, because I don't think they have done a great job in terms of marketing this, and especially with the legitimate of this competition. Especially, many people are already saying that this feels like it's a not only a cash cow kind of tournament, but feels like it could be like a preseason kind of tournament that we usually see with big European team coming to the U.S. just kind of tour the U.S. for these preseason games, so that a lot of us American fans that support these European team can have a chance to buy these tickets and go to watch their favorite team play. Even though when you watch your favorite team play, they're not going to play their strongest team because it's a preseason game. Now, moving on. So the NWSL, they said that they will play their regular season even during the 2026 World Cup. They're not going to pause their season because of it, and good on them in terms of doing so. Because I don't think the NWSL needs to pause their season. Like, pretty much most of the stadium that the NWSL team play are not World Cup venue. I think only one team that actually has that problem, and that of course is the Seattle Reign playing at Lumen Field. Lumen Field, of course, is one of the venue for the World Cup that is. But the bottom line is that maybe this is kind of using it as an opportunity for a lot of the people that is going to be coming to the states to watch the World Cup, and if they can't afford for the incredible prices for going to these World Cup tickets game, maybe they can watch a NWSL game as it is. Now, I'm not sure if that's guaranteed to be the the way that NWSL is thinking, but that's kind of what I'm thinking, that is the reason why they will play through it. And again, it's not like any of the players in the NWSL is going to be missing due to this World Cup, because this is a men's World Cup. The women's World Cup doesn't happen until the following year. That is, and that's when the NWSL pretty much have to pause their season because of the FIFA Women's World Cup break that is going to happen next year as well. And then lastly, finally, the last news that I think a lot of people want me to talk about, and this actually should have been put at number one if I didn't realize that today was the day that they announced this. And that, of course, is MLS have officially said that they are not going to be changing to the fall and spring season, at least until the 2027 season. So, after today, they had a board of governor meetings with all the owners in terms of talking about whether or not if they're going to do it. There was a vote that was selected. Seems like a lot of the owners basically voted against it, and I don't blame that some of the owners voted against, especially cold weather city owners. They probably vote like against this because it is absolutely incredibly stupid to play games during the winter. Originally, their plan was that they were going to start the season late July or early August, and then they're going to take like a 5 week pause between December into early February, and then they finish the season somewhere around May or June, which perfectly aligned with the European calendar. And what's kind of stupid about that, even with the 5 month winter break, you still are going to get games that is going to be playing in incredibly dangerous condition. Like, I've said it before, just an example. One of the team that I root for, Minnesota United. There is no way in the world you can play a game at Allianz Field in February. We saw it a couple of years ago when the U.S. played against Honduras at Allianz Field, and we saw the temperature. Not only was that sub-zero temperature, but players were getting hyperthermia because of it. That is something the player union is absolutely going to be fuming about. going to be absolutely against it. And then, of course, you might say, well, maybe some of these teams can go on the road for extended periods, something similar to what we see Montreal did this season. Well, here's the problem with that: you're gonna have to have too many cold weather city team that probably gonna have to deal with that situation. And yeah, you can't just simply have these cold weather team just to go on the road an extended period of time, especially in the Eastern Conference as well. Like in the Eastern Conference, a lot of teams play in cold weather cities, so you simply can't do that and just have all these team on the road. Somebody's gonna have to play at home as a reserve, and not to mention that's kind of unfair to a lot of these cold weather city teams where they have a schedule that is very weird with them have to play home games for majority of the time and then have to go on a brutal road trip just because it's too cold to play in their city, and that could really also affect the performance too. I mean, just look at this season with CF Montreal being near the bottom of the standings, mainly because they just haven't been playing a home game, and it must be brutal for them to play for so many games on the road to begin the season. So yeah, good to see that MLS decided that they're not going to do it. Now the thing that they also mentioned is that they're going to look into this once again once the 2026 World Cup is going to be over. And again, I understand that they want to align with the European calendar so that way it gives these team more opportunity to sign player in Europe and continue to grow in this league. And there's always this very unfortunate situation where some teams basically had to sell their players in the middle of the season because a lot of the business and at least a lot of the European team would be willing to do business more during the summer transfer window compared to the winter transfer window, which is the primary transfer window for MLS, that is. But besides that, the overall benefit of that, I don't think it really outweighs the problem with the weather. Like again, you just simply cannot host games. Even if you have the winter break, like when the season restarts in early February, literally half the team, if not maybe three-quarter of the team in the league, are going to be playing in freezing condition below 32 degrees condition. You just simply cannot do that, especially if you're going to also attract fans to watch your game and also ticket revenue. I mean, attendance and ticket revenue will just absolutely plummet if games are playing in cold weather. We're seeing it too, in at least in the first couple of weeks of the season, how the attendance have been completely down all over the league because of the way that the weather so far for most of these cold weather city have not warmed up whatsoever. But there you have it. That is pretty much it when it comes to looking at these news from this week's News of the Week episode. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of these news, and if there's any news I didn't mention here on the board, let me know in the comments below as always. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.